You are now joining the Children of the Watch.
That's right. It's the #1 podcast in the galaxy for all things Star Wars television. I'm your host, Alex Maxwell, and joining me as always is
Mac Lacey. Alex, we got some stuff to talk about. I can name a couple things just right off the bat.
Yeah.
Children of the Watch.
Children of the Watch, a Star Wars show, is our official brand new name.
Yeah. It feels good to finally be able to let the cat out of the bag. We've been sitting on it for a while. To me, it just makes sense. It's going to carry on. It's in the same spirit as the Mandalorian Watch. We're bringing that same, the sense of community, the sense of positivity.
Yeah.
We're bringing that over, but we're just making it to where it can encompass every bit of live action television Star Wars has to throw at us. And I'm very excited. I couldn't be more excited.
Right. And so we originally started off as the Mandalorian Watch. We are a Mandalorian after show where we do detailed scene by scene breakdowns and our voicemail hotline episodes when the Mandalorian premiered. And after the big announcement of all the Star Wars television shows coming, we started to kind of realize, hey, if we want to expand our brand, we've got to change our name, because just being exclusively the Mandalorian Watch probably wasn't going to work for people finding us for an after show to do scene by scene breakdowns, right? Like they're
kind
thinking
of an SEO killer.
Right. And so like when we started this podcast, we made the statement that the future of Star Wars is in television. And so after the second season of The Mandalorian and the announcement of the upcoming television projects, we believe that statement continues to like ring true. That is super true. We wanted to cover all live action Star Wars shows, but felt like our name is just like too limiting in scope. So after a lot of thought and discussion, we landed on Children of the Watch, a Star Wars show. And like Max said, we feel that name gives us more freedom to cover the variety of upcoming Star Wars shows while still remaining true to our Mandalorian Watch roots. And we're going to miss that name. I know a lot of people will miss that name as well. But we felt like this is the necessary step for us to continue forward covering all the Star Wars live action television shows.
For sure. And nothing's going away. So we are still going to be doing all the same, scene by scene breakdown, episodes. We're doing the same hotline episodes. We have the same great Patreon community going. All we're doing is just expanding it. And so that it can, we can apply the everything cool that we've got going on to all these other different shows, because we're going to want to talk about those,
Right.
And so I'm super excited. It's also gonna a big thing that we're adding on, as you can see, is we're getting into YouTube.
Right.
In addition to covering more shows and everything, we just feel like there's a whole other segment of the audience out there that we really want to get involved with our conversation, and so we're stepping into YouTube to try to branch out to those folks and just get more voices and more perspectives,
That's exactly right. And like, it may take us some time to find our footing as we learn the mighty ways of the all powerful algorithm.
Yeah.
But just like the podcasting world, we aim to bring like family friendly fun and positivity to YouTube. So your support on YouTube would mean the world to us. So like, if you can't support us on Patreon, which is just $2 a month, you can't do that. A good way to support us is by subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking the content and all that. That would go a long way to help us out.
For sure. Leaving comments, getting involved in the discussion, all that stuff will help us in the eyes of the almighty ones and zeros. So
that's right.
Yeah, but I mean, we're excited. Nothing's going away. We're just plussing. We're just adding.
Right.
And that's all just to get more people involved. So I'm extremely excited for this next step, this next brand new chapter.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's most of the business. We've kind of.
So we've revealed our new name. I think, especially for our YouTube audience right now, I think we should reveal some of our new logos and kind of give the idea behind the logos and the design. So if you're not watching on YouTube, there will be a link in the show notes that you can go and click on and watch this, but it will also be on our social media as well, all these new logos. But let's start with the very first one, our Mandalorian logo. And that's it right there. Our Children of the Watch Mandalorian logo. Definitely a different color scheme.
Yeah, we're still figuring out how to do this here.
Yeah.
We'll get that placed better next time. But yeah, so a similar kind of color scheme to some of the stuff you've seen, already. Kind of the just following along this is where we started, so it's keeping kind of with the core theme here.
Right.
And
so
then,
yeah, it's got the Mandalorian and Grogu in it. If you're listening to the podcast, it's the one that you're seeing right now as our new logo. I like the color scheme. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And so then, we've already experienced 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, but that's most likely not going to be the next thing that we see from the Star Wars live action television universe, right?
Right.
And most likely that's going to be the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so that's our Book of the Boba Fett logo. Book of the Boba.
Book of the Boba.
So, like, basically, the idea behind the logos are the image will change with the show. So, like, our name stays the same, but the image, the background image will change. So that's our Book of Boba Fett logo. I think that one might be my favorite. I don't know. I really like the way that one looks.
It's good. The colors are really working. I love
Yeah.
the gradients and the blue and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
And then at that point, after we don't really know, order of release and everything like that, the timeline gets a little.
Though. Andor.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go Andor next.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's throw that one up there.
Yeah.
That's Andor. Oh man, dude, that one. Yeah. I'm so excited. This is one of the shows I'm the most excited about, and like this cover just captures everything that I'm looking for.
Right. And so, yeah, it's got Andor. It's kind of a green color scheme. He is on Scarif. And we know that probably in the show, they won't be on Scarif because that's in Rogue One.
Right.
But that represents his character, right? Like that's what it's building up to. And that's what, the climax of his character arc will end at Scarif. We've seen his ending, but we're really excited to see maybe how Andor got started in the Rebel Alliance and how all that came to be. So we're really, really excited for that show for sure.
I'm gonna see how he's been in this fight since he was 6 years old. Yeah, no, I'm so pumped for that one.
Yeah.
So what show do you think is coming up after Andor? My guess would be probably Kenobi.
Yeah, I would say Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's just show that one. That one is sweet.
So it's there's
kind of
so much going on here.
Yeah, so that's kind of a red color scheme. He's on Mustafar. And again, I don't think we think he will be on Mustafar. It's possible that he might end up back on Mustafar in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but he's definitely there mentally and probably spiritually and emotionally 10 years later. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we kind of went with that theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so that one's really exciting because, man, and we've got a lot to talk about that after we do this next logo.
After we take care of the business, we will actually have a little bit of an episode for you after this too. But yeah. And then, so that's going to leave one more that we've got artwork for right now. And that is Ahsoka.
That's right. And so
look at that.
That's really cool. And of course, this is, from her appearance on The Mandalorian. And so that's really recognizable. Really, really excited about Ahsoka. We will be talking about Ahsoka as well in this episode. It's kind of a greenish, bluish color scheme to that logos. If you're just listening on the podcast, and again, you can see all this on the link in our show notes. But
I'm sure we'll also be, putting these images out periodically to promo them and everything. So, look for them there. But awesome. Well, we've got I think so. That's all the cover art and everything like that. Yeah. You've seen the branding. You've got the overall. This is kind of our overlay here. That's going to be our show's overall color scheme and everything. But then we'll get into different colors as we kind of change up our attention that we're placing on each show and everything like that. got the new profile pics and everything like that. So
Yeah, we just wanted to show it off a little bit, like it was really, really cool. And we worked with an awesome graphic design artist to make sure all this happened. And so we're really, really proud of it. And we hope that you guys like it. Let us know down in the comments below or on social media too, because we want to hear your feedback, what you guys think. We hope that you like it.
Hope you like it as much as we do, because we're pumped about it.
We love it. For sure.
Cool. Well, I think that's the business. We had an extended a business section, but are you kind of ready to get into the show?
Oh yeah, because there's we haven't done like an actual breakdown of all the news and stuff in a while of the TV show rumors, and so now that we're covering all the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, like everything, let's talk about some of that stuff. So a couple days ago, like about a week ago, they revealed the cast of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I could not be more excited. I think, if I'm being honest with you, Mac, I feel like this is actually the show that I'm most excited for. I think this is the one.
That definitely makes sense for you, just as far as your particular things that you gravitate to most in the Star Wars galaxy. I'm extremely excited about this as well. It's the standalone show that's been rumored for the longest. I feel like maybe the Boba Fett show, but after that one, it was pretty much always like, yeah, there's going to be a Kenobi TV show. There's going to be a Kenobi TV show, and now we're finally getting casting news from it.
Yeah,
it's feeling real. It's feeling tangible.
And good on Disney for going ahead and just doing this instead of like letting it leak, kind of like the Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah,
I actually prefer this way a lot better, because then it like creates a lot of positive momentum and less confusion.
Exactly.
Forward.
It's like, oh, they're excited and enthusiastic about this, so they're getting ahead of it, and they're going ahead and showing off what they have coming up. That's a much better attitude to come at things with than like, oh, this got out, we'll see, and oops. But here is we've got an image here.
Yeah, the Obi-Wan Kenobi cast. And man, what a good-looking cast, too. Like, can we just say, probably the most beautiful people on this planet are in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's just a who's who of like all of your top 10 lists, right? Like,
right. I mean, of course, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen are back, and I'm really excited that Hayden Christensen's back as Darth Vader. He's going to be in the Darth Vader suit.
Yeah.
But Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are in it. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that, and like how much, they're going to know about like how much information they have as far as what goes down. I'm really excited to see and how they interact with Obi-Wan, with that news, because they
so that tells me like at least part of the story does take place on Tatooine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And we'll see a young Luke, like 10-year-old Luke.
Very possibly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, they may go the Rebels route with it and just have it, have him be a very kind of distant thing, and maybe Obi-Wan's only meeting up with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru like when they come to market or something, being all clandestine, but we'll see.
So what was really cool is Moses Ingram. She on her Instagram had basically said that her character plays with lightsabers, and so that kind of led to a lot of speculation of, oh, maybe she's playing a younger Ahsoka. Maybe she's playing something like that. I don't think that's the case. I don't think she's going to be like a younger Ahsoka or anything like that. I actually think she's going to be an Inquisitor.
That's exactly where I'm going to. Just from, and it could definitely just be they've selected a very dark side picture here,
right? Yeah,
But I definitely get that. Like Inquisitor. I was almost kind of thinking when I first, without context, I was just seeing that picture and that she was announced as a cast. I didn't even know what show or anything yet. I was almost thinking Acolyte. So I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
seems
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, but she like I'm very excited to see what she does. Just the energy she can bring. I think it would have to be an Inquisitor.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I don't know. I'm really excited. Variety basically said she's going to be a major character in the show. And so that would be cool to have her be an Inquisitor, and we get to see a live action Inquisitor. And at that point, the Grand Inquisitor is still alive. So why not just bring Jason Isaacs to play a live
yeah,
action Inquisitor? That would be cool.
that would be
I'm
a super cool little treat, especially just for everybody who's been following through Rebels and everything like that.
Yeah.
That it'd be another one of those moments that's just like, oh yes, it's all connecting, right?
Right.
um, yeah,
Right.
no,
And then
that'd be cool.
yeah, I mean this cast is just incredible. I mean, we could probably spend all day just speculating who these characters are, but we're not going to know really for a while because they're going to start filming this month. So in April, they're filming this, and it's going to be 6 episodes.
Mhm.
Deborah Chow, who did phenomenal on season 1 of The Mandalorian, I think her episodes were probably the best, right?
The
Like,
most just solid all around. Like
yeah,
I think she can just deliver on story, on
right.
character, on action. She can do it all. She's just a power player.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh, yeah.
super excited to see what she does with the property because there's going to be all those things,
Right.
to do it right. So, yeah, I think they've got exactly the right person at the helm. And I can't wait to see what she does.
I'm really curious to see if they'll age up Ewan McGregor,
Because
you
he
know?
looks so youthful, and they've always had a hard time like bridging that timeline gap.
Don't put it past Star Wars to do this, though. Don't put it past Star Wars to, like, have something happen to Obi-Wan Kenobi that significantly ages him. Don't
Yeah,
put it past them because they
in
will
the
do it.
in the last episode, and then
Yeah.
he's just
He's
oh
just
my goodness.
yeah, then he's Alec Guinness. Yeah. Because this is 5 years before no, actually, it's not 5 years before we see him in Rebels because that's almost like a year, 2 years before A New Hope, but by the time they're at that point in the timeline, I don't know.
Yeah,
I could see Star Wars totally going a route where, he looks like prequel Obi-Wan and then something
something
happens to
happens.
him.
I've always just accepted that, like, yeah, you turn into Alec Guinness because you live in Tatooine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah, and
yeah,
heavy
you
drinking. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. We see him knocking it back in Clone Wars where Anakin's like I was just seeing a thing recently circulating pointing out how like Anakin was like couldn't even take a sip of it and Obi-Wan's just putting it back.
Yeah, he's like, "No problem."
Yeah. And I mean you don't that's how you get through Tatooine, I think.
Yeah.
That's just how that works.
I mean, if
Um
you've gotta deal with Owen Lars all the time, I think, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Um
Now what's really cool too, and we haven't talked about this yet, but a lot of the rumors is Commander Cody will be a part of the show as well. So we'll see even more Tamara Morrison,
yeah.
as Commander Cody, and that was like the clone commander that was always with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And then in Revenge of the Sith turned on
Turned on
him.
him in the end. And
Yeah.
we don't know, I mean, do we have any information on like did he ever get his chip taken out or anything like that? I don't think we
I
really
think Cody is
know.
like full blown
Yeah.
for the Empire.
That was always my impression.
Yeah.
And especially like in the way that they did the last little bit in Clone Wars and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Um yeah. So that'll be interesting. We get to revisit those kind of I like exploring that plot line just because that's a massive thing to happen to a lot of people, and I feel like there's a lot to unpack with it.
For sure. For
Um
sure. So yeah, so that's I'm super excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi. But another thing that we missed is the potential casting of Ezra Bridger in Ahsoka, which we knew that was coming, right? Like we knew Ezra would probably show up because she mentioned Grand Admiral Thrawn in
right.
The Mandalorian, right? That's who
And
she's looking for. And we know Ezra is with or was with Thrawn
yeah,
last.
anytime anybody saw them last, they were both headed off to who knows where on the back of a Purrgil. So Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So I mean, it makes sense that we would be getting, that adventure. Um, and so it's Mina Masad
yep, that's right.
is yeah. So he played Aladdin in the new live action remake.
Right.
So that's probably his where you'd know him from and everything.
Right.
Seems like a good fit. I could
Oh,
see it.
yeah, he's perfect. I mean, because everybody called Ezra Space Aladdin anyway, right? Like,
Anyway, right. The parallels are already just right there.
and so
Um,
the guys at Kessel Run Transmissions broke this story. Shout out to them, Corey, Noah, and Claire. They did a phenomenal job kind of breaking this story. And then not long after that, Mina Masad actually posted on his Instagram kind of a little hint that he probably is playing Ezra, because he even quoted like a very obscure Ezra quote in his Instagram. And
right.
then it's like, okay, it seems like he really is going to be Ezra. And I
Like,
would assume it's like he knew the news was kind of leaking. He's been probably watching Rebels to prepare for his role on Ahsoka.
yeah.
So
And I'm just excited that Raul Coley can finally get some peace now.
yeah, it would be funny if they like revealed that Ezra had a brother or something. Um,
Just
yeah,
can't get a
so
break.
that is it is. I'm excited for Ahsoka. I'm very curious to see kind of where they go with it, because obviously she's hunting down Thrawn and Ezra. I think Sabine will probably be in that show. And if you're not familiar with Sabine, she is a Mandalorian from Star Wars Rebels. She's part of the crew. And so, yeah, I think it's very likely that she would be in that show as well, because last we saw her, she was going off with Ahsoka to look for Ezra.
Right.
And
It would
so,
make sense that we would
yeah,
also get her, which is good. I mean, people have been wondering when she's going to show up in the Mandalorian and stuff all the time,
right.
So I think we're all ready for live action Sabine.
Absolutely. And so that would be very, very exciting to see her as well, because she's a really cool Mandalorian. And, because all this is leading up to that big crossover event, right? Where you've got the Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, all kind of
Probably taking on Thrawn.
most likely.
Probably. I mean, that
Yeah,
just with we're seeing the chess pieces on the table, and just with what we've got, that's what it seems like to me.
right.
Um,
So it'd be
and
cool to see Sabine and Din Djarin even to interact, because like Sabine's armor is like antithesis to what Din does, right? Like Din is
yeah,
very neutral, right?
just
Like,
the visual foil would
yeah,
be really cool. And then also, apart from that, she's been through the gambit of like she's been really into like mainstream Mandalorian
yeah,
society. She stepped away from it for a time.
right.
She's come back, so I think there would be a lot there with just her character that would open up. It would make for some interesting conversations with Din, giving
Oh,
his
for sure,
perspective.
for sure. So yeah, that's really exciting. And then there's also been a lot of rumors that Lars Mikkelsen, who voices Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels, will actually be playing Thrawn. Like I know there were all those rumors of Robert Downey Jr. playing Grand
Yeah,
Admiral Thrawn, and then
Benedict
Benedict.
Cumberbatch was the biggest was a really big one, I
Yeah,
think, and he was pretty much like, I don't want to sit in the makeup chair that long.
right, right.
Um,
To me, it
yeah,
makes I actually like. I'm glad if it's Lars Mikkelsen, because like I think the most important thing about Thrawn and the most menacing thing about Thrawn is his voice anyway.
right. The rest of him is supposed to be like unexpressive. His eyes are
Right,
supposed to be kind of like red shark eyes. You
yeah,
never really kind of know what's going on. It's just that glare.
right.
Um, so yeah, I think as long as the voice is there, you can make anybody Thrawn.
Yeah, and that I am kind of curious to see what he looks like in live action, because I think that will be. I almost think that's a harder transition in some ways than Ahsoka. Um,
Do you think it's closer? It's like further into the uncanny valley kind of thing.
right.
Because really, it's just he's blue and like has high cheekbones. Those are
Just
like
the
the two
cheekbones.
things
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to hit, right?
yeah, yeah.
The rest is just you pop some red contacts in, you're good to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But that's another thing that we kind of missed. So so let's kind of transition from Ahsoka rumors to Andor, because that's the show that right now they're filming a lot, and there's a lot of set leaks that are coming out for Andor in terms of um, a lot of things that are kind of happening in some sort of street. We see Imperial presence there. Um, it seems like almost like a big, huge movie set. If you've seen the set leak photos, there's not actually a lot to look there at it, but I mean, the set is gigantic.
Yeah. And when so much of The Mandalorian has been shot in the volume, and they've almost been like flaunting like how little they are actually putting into, like how small the set is, how much they can get away with just this one confined space,
Right.
it is kind of a 180 to this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't, it's interesting. This could be the one massive set piece they have for the whole show, or this could be, a indication that this is just how they're doing it. They're just really kind of going all out,
So
here.
out of all out of all the new shows, it feels like Andor is the one with the most potential in terms of it not just being one season.
Really? So, and I mean,
Do you feel differently?
from production, I definitely understand like what you're
Yeah,
saying, and I agree with you. But just from what the show is, it seems like
right.
one that would be definite to be only one season.
Well, it is going to
Like,
be 12 episodes, so that's a lot more than any of the other Star Wars TV shows. So maybe it's like they're fitting 2 seasons in one.
yeah. My theory on kind of why we're seeing these massive set pieces and everything is that they're just really trying to make. I still think Andor is going to be a smaller, more grounded show, but I think maybe they might just like all of the stuff that Andor would be doing at this. Like Cassian's going to be just dipping in and out of battles, and war
Yeah,
is just happening around him, right?
right.
And so I feel like maybe they're making these massive set pieces and everything so that they can just have war as an environment that they can just dip in and out of to do the spy stuff.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I just there's I'm just really interested to see what I almost feel like and like I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I feel like the order of the shows will be we'll get the Book of Boba Fett in December. I'm actually kind of hoping that they'll release that a little earlier. I hope they kind of push it back to November a little bit, kind of like The Mandalorian. I
yeah,
would like for that to happen. That's going to be 6 episodes, I think. I think the Book of Boba Fett is a little shorter, 6 episodes. And
that makes
then,
sense.
yeah. And then after that, I think we'll see Andor sometime in early 2022. Then I actually think we will see Obi-Wan. I think it's going to be a while before we get to season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I do too. I think it might be we may not get season 3 of The Mandalorian until after we do the big team up.
Oh,
Like
dang. I don't think that.
with the way that they ended season 2 on
Yeah.
such a definitive ending, I'm almost thinking the reason they did that was to kind of tie it up in a bow for now until
Yeah.
there's a reason and something happens to bring Den back into it, and then we get season 3. So I'm almost thinking we get season 3 of The Mandalorian after the big team up crossover event.
Wow. Wow. I
But
hope not. I can
I hope not too.
I really do hope that we get season 3 of The Mandalorian in 2022, preferably early, because that's where we started. We were the Mandalorian Watch. Now we're Children of the Watch, Star Wars show,
Right.
TM. Uh, but like I am looking forward to seeing Din and the crew all back together again. And so like I don't know. I'm kind of worried, because there were rumors that they were supposed to start filming season 3 of The Mandalorian this month in April. We'll see if that's true.
Yeah.
That might have been actually Obi-Wan Kenobi that they were, like something got crossed there. and they can film multiple things at one time. They don't have to
Right.
film one thing at a time. It's different productions, but I don't know. I got a bad feeling, especially after the announcement that Pedro Pascal was going to be in the HBO Max series, The Last of Us. I just
He might
something
be a
about
little
that. I was like, oh no.
he might be a little busy for a little bit. Is that kind of what you're
Yeah,
afraid
and
of?
like again, I hear where everybody's kind of saying like, oh, you can do more than one thing at one time, or you can have it. Like season one, that was barely Pedro Pascal at all in the suit.
Right.
That was mainly Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder in that suit. You could do that, but like with where the story was kind of projected to go with, okay, his conflict, it seemingly with, okay, who he is as a child of the Watch, and then who Bo-Katan is, and how she leads things. I was kind of hoping for a little more Pedro with his helmet off in season 3.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I'm worried about that one.
like Din having his helmet on versus off is going to be really kind of the core question of season 3, right? Like you're saying, like
Yes,
going
yeah,
like with
yeah.
the conflicts with Bo-Katan potentially and everything. Like I mean, so you would want Pedro available, I think.
Right, and I'm really, really hoping Emily Swallow comes back for season 3 as the armor. By the
Yes.
way, we interviewed her on the podcast. You can check that out on our podcast feed, and we
We'll
kinda even talked
probably
about that a little bit.
yeah, we did. And we might be putting that out on the YouTube channel later now that we have it going up. We'll see.
Yeah,
Um
and by the way, we did before if we put that up on YouTube, we did not know that was going to be a video interview, and so, like,
until
our
like 5 seconds before we started, and then we quickly turned our cameras on, and what we had was what we had. So
there was a treadmill behind me the entire interview. And
yeah,
I would say my setup's a little bit better, but honestly, my setup is going to change. If you're watching on YouTube, I was going for something and then I've decided to kind of switch to something else. So this probably will be the last time you see this setup on the YouTube stream. So, but I do have, lightsaber there. I also
yeah.
got my good friend
We
Toro
got Toro.
Calican.
Look, Alex doesn't just talk the talk; he walks the walk too. So he's he's got Toro on his wall.
This is art. This
That
needs to be in a museum.
by definition is art. Yeah.
by, by definition,
No,
yes.
it's lovely. It's lovely. I have not put any effort at all into my background or setup or anything because I'm moving in a little bit. So
Yeah.
whatever
So
my
why
setup
even
would
try?
be, why even bother? Next
Yeah,
month it'll be different. So
exactly.
yeah,
And by the way, your support on Patreon kind of allows us to upgrade equipment. And so we're kind of waiting a little bit as we save up some money to get even better cameras to
right.
make YouTube even more enjoyable for you guys. And so your support on Patreon goes a long way because it goes right back into the show every single time. So again,
Yep.
that's just $2 for bonus content. We do a lot of fun over there. So that will be super helpful if you can support us in that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got us off topic a little bit because we were talking about Andor, and one of the major things that we've kind of missed in our little absence as we were preparing to become children of the Watch was that there were some rumors that Obi-Wan Kenobi might show up in Andor. What do you think about that? Like, how would that even happen?
It would have to be danced around so much, I think. It would have to be a very specific set of circumstances and everything because first of all, the Jedi are supposed to be, basically wiped out at this point. And so I feel like if Cassian Andor knew of another Jedi going into like the Battle of Scarif, he might have like made an effort to go get the other Jedi to help out, right?
Yeah.
Um and it'll be like I'm almost seeing a thing where Cassian goes to Tatooine and is like maybe Obi-Wan is just kind of an informant. Like maybe he's like supplying some information, just posing as a concerned citizen,
Ben
right?
Kenobi. Yes.
Yeah, Ben Kenobi is maybe tipping the Rebel Alliance's intelligence service off a little bit, maybe supplying some
Fulcrum.
information. Potentially, yeah. So that would be the manner in which I could see him coming up. Like, I don't really see him showing up anywhere lightsaber blazing. Does that make sense?
No, and I would actually I want that on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't want that on
Exactly.
Andor.
Right.
Honestly, I kind of feel like if Obi-Wan Kenobi does show up in Andor, it's more of a hologram. I think it's, or maybe he doesn't even interact with Cassian at all. He interacts with someone like Bella Organa, which I
Right.
hope Jimmy Smits is in Andor, by the way. Like, if
Yes.
he's not, what are you doing, guys? Like, that, cast Jimmy Smits as Bella Organa in Andor, please.
Yes,
That,
please.
please do that. That would be awesome. Like, maybe Bell kind of mentions to Cassian and like shows him a hologram of like, hey, I've got this guy in case, we need to use him or something like that. But there were also
Right.
rumors too that Ahsoka might even show up in Andor.
And so with Ahsoka, you get a little more leeway. Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Technically. So you've got like the technical gray area
Yeah.
to work with there that they have been working with.
Yeah.
They have been using and abusing that little loophole, I think.
Yeah.
Which is fine by me. I love Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think she would make more sense to show up in like an action capacity than Obi-Wan would, but even then, I still don't really see it in Andor. I think Andor, and my hope is that Andor stays really kind of grounded, like in the Rebel Alliance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't want too much Force stuff actually in that one. Like, I think we're gonna get plenty in Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka. Especially,
Absolutely.
I think even more so in Ahsoka dealing with the world between worlds. I think we're going back to that, by the way. And
Yeah.
so
And then
I
with
would like Andor.
Acolyte's going to be all over the dark side. That's all going to be Force stuff, and that's not quite as close on the horizon, but it's coming. So
Can't wait for that one.
Acolyte's going to be great.
It's gonna be so sick. I love that.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but yeah. So I mean,
I don't know. We'll see.
If Ahsoka does show up in Andor, that's gonna be a tricky one to work around, I think.
Well, I think it all, if she does, again, it goes back to the code name Fulcrum,
Yeah.
because she operated as Fulcrum in Star Wars Rebels. And we
Right.
know that Cassian has also operated as that Rebel code name Fulcrum as well.
Yeah.
And we know from Star Wars The Clone Wars that code name actually came from Anakin and Obi-Wan. Yeah, like they kind of started that. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's cool though that they're attempting to basically do the Marvel style connections in the Star Wars television world.
Yeah, I mean, I have my concerns with that. We haven't seen them do anything with it yet. We've just got the one TV show so far. So, I have no complaints so far. I'm along for the ride. My only like reservation is that it just gets too connecty and we forget to tell any one story,
Sure.
But
my concern is basically, and like I know why this is. It frustrates me still. People are always confused about the Star Wars timeline. They don't know when a show is taking place. And if that's you, like, that is no fault of your own. That is not your fault.
They've made it very confusing.
I don't think Star Wars has done a good job of explaining the different time periods. I really wish they would take our suggestion of like before each show, get rid of the helmet thing. Just get rid of that and do
just
a
show
timeline. Where the movies are the tent poles, and then you like go to where the closest movie is, and then you go to that spot on the timeline, and that's your intro to each show. You know where you're at that point.
Yeah. You know exactly what's happened, what's yet to happen, you're in.
Because like when Luke Skywalker showed up at the end of The Mandalorian, there were people who were like, I thought he died. I thought he was dead. Why does he look so young?
Right.
I thought The Mandalorian was after the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. No fault of anybody. Like it's been kept kind of vague, I think.
Yeah, I just feel like Star Wars needs to do a better job of explaining the timeline to people and not just in universe, because I do think they tried to do that in season 2, with Cobb Vanth kind of explaining the destruction of the second Death Star. But I mean, even then, there's so many Death Stars and destructive weapons in Star Wars. It's like, that's hard to keep up with. Which
Right.
one is that one?
For sure.
So I think if they took that approach of like almost, get rid of the helmets, do a timeline, I promise you, people would be less confused. And all that to say, I'm kind of worried if Obi-Wan and Ahsoka show up in Andor in any capacity, that's just going to confuse people even more, especially the Ahsoka thing. If they're only familiar with her from the Mandalorian and not the Clone Wars and Rebels,
it's gonna get messy.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
It's going to get messy.
For
So
sure.
all that to say,
Yeah.
that's something they could probably work on.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think the only other little item on our show notes here to talk about is not really any news or anything from Star Wars, but more just news coming from us. So
Yeah.
you wanna talk about kind of we have one very concrete, fleshed out plan that we can share with you at this time. So
Yeah. So, okay. So, if you're joining us, you probably found us because you wanted a scene breakdown from The Mandalorian. That's our niche. That's like what we started as. We do scene by scene breakdowns. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're best at. I think that's where we really thrive. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to do scene by scene breakdowns. And since the Book of Boba Fett is coming up next, we thought, just like we did for The Mandalorian, we watched every single Mandalorian episode that had to do in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels before The Mandalorian premiered. We're going to do the same thing with Boba Fett.
A little different though.
We're
gonna have. I think it's actually gonna end up being a little more fun this way.
Yeah.
The way that we're gonna cover the lead up to the Book of Boba Fett is we're gonna watch Attack of the Clones.
That's first in the timeline.
It's first up, and so we're gonna be watching Attack of the Clones in half-hour segments.
That's right.
And we'll be breaking them down in half-hour segments. I'm incredibly looking forward to that because Attack of the Clones, while I still love it, is my least favorite Star Wars movie, and I have the most loving criticism of it, and I'm very looking forward to it.
I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to our corruption episodes. If you've been an OG fan of our podcast, when we got to the corruption episodes in the Clone Wars, I have a feeling Attack of the Clones probably will be very similar for us. And like Max said, we're going to break it up into parts, basically 30-minute segments. We're going to do detailed scene-by-scene breakdowns of Attack of the Clones because that's where Boba Fett's story starts.
Begins.
And so
it's where we meet him, and we're taking it back to the beginning, baby.
So we're really excited about that. We think you should rewatch Attack of the Clones before we do that. And so it will be a lot of fun, and we would love for you guys to call into our voicemail hotline and talk to us about Attack of the Clones. Talk to us what you think, the Book of Boba Fett will be about, because I think there's probably going to be a lot of flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett. I think we'll see different time periods of Boba Fett because, and I was listening to Still Saunders from Still Wars. He was talking about this, and I thought this was a fantastic point. Probably the reason they did the new paint scheme in season 2 of The Mandalorian is for you to identify when Boba Fett is, right?
Yep.
And so, when he's got the new paint scheme, he's
it's later
current timeline. Yeah.
Post Mandalorian, when you see him with the first kind of beat up paint scheme, that's pre Sarlacc, and then obviously if you see him, I'm wondering if we're gonna get to see him painting Jango's armor and stuff like that, right? Because we've never seen it on screen or anything, and that would be a very big turning character moment, I would think. So I'm gonna predict right now that we're probably gonna get painting Jango's armor in the Book of Boba Fett.
That would be legit. I would love that. That would be really, really cool. So, like I was saying, you can call into our voicemail hotline and give us your thoughts, your theories about the Book of Boba Fett, and just also enjoy Attack of the Clones with us.
just have fun.
Yeah, like and like when we say like it's probably not our favorite Star Wars movie, that's true.
We
But
still love it. It's still Star Wars.
what and I if you've been a longtime fan of us when we were the Mandalorian Watch, nothing's changing because we're on YouTube. We're not going to like bash it, be cynical. That is not who we are. Like we don't believe in gatekeeping. We don't believe in being cynical. We want to be a positive force in the fandom that literally anybody can enjoy. So whether you are a brand new Star Wars fan and you're just starting your journey, maybe because of the Mandalorian or another Star Wars TV show, maybe you're really excited about the Bad Batch or whatever, or you are the most hardcore Star Wars fan that and sometimes probably even scream at us like when we don't know something or something like that. The show is for everybody. Like
Yeah.
we want everybody to enjoy it. So like when we're doing the scene by scene breakdowns of Attack of the Clones, we'll probably make fun of it, but in a positive way, right? Like
Yeah.
in a fun, positive way. So like we would love for you guys to call in and just enjoy that with us. We'll play it on the podcast before we get started with the next scene by scene breakdown and stuff. So that will be a lot of fun for us, I think.
Yeah. For sure. So, I mean, all that to say, a ton of really cool stuff coming down the pipe. We're still a lot of it's still getting mulled around, and we're still talking through and strategizing and everything like that. But we'll have tons of more concrete announcements of various things we're going to do coming very soon. But yeah, just look for more in general. It's there's more coming. So
yeah, absolutely. And again, another way you can support us: go to YouTube, subscribe. Put the notification ringer thing on, like our video. So like I know you're a little younger than me, Max, so I don't know kind of where you stand on this. Like, I don't watch YouTube a lot, me personally. Like, I'm not I don't know if because like YouTube came out when I was in high school, but I was kind of at the end of high school. There are a whole generation of people behind me who pretty much only watch YouTube, and that's why we're here, is to like, hey guys. But if you are kind of like me and maybe you just listen to podcasts, like you don't actually watch YouTube, you could still help us out by clicking on the link in the show notes, letting it play for a while. Just let it play. Even if you don't actually watch it, just let it play in the house as you're cleaning your house or you're doing the dishes or something. That would be a big help to us.
Yeah, yeah. I personally I do actually watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like YouTube a lot. Yeah, but then if you basically we'll be struggling on here a little bit just to keep up with what we've already built on the podcast side of things and everything. So yeah, any help you can give us, fantastic. Just show the almighty algorithm that you are interested in seeing more of these pop up. And then that'll be good. That's all we need. So yeah, well, I think that's it, man. I think this is we can wrap up the inaugural episode of Children of the Watch. What do you think?
Right. It was fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I hope that everybody listening and watching loved it.
Yeah. And I hope that they let us know what they think of the new name. And then, of course, help spread the word about the new name change. There'll be some initial confusion. So the more sharing and everything, getting the word out that y'all can help us with, the better. So yeah. Well, we'll be back very shortly. Next time we'll let you know. But until that time, keep the watch.